Hi, everyone. I'm Laura, 24 years old. What happened to me could happen to anyone. It's been 3 weeks since Dad's heart attack. I still remember that morning, making coffee, checking my work emails when the phone rang and shattered my world. Now the house feels unbearably empty. Gone is his laughter, his silly dad jokes, and even his Sunday obsession with organizing the garage. You poor dear, you can't manage this big house all by yourself. I'll help you get everything in order, Aunt Melissa said at the funeral, her oversized designer handbag perched on her arm and a too-sweet smile plastered on her face. Before I could process her words, she moved in, with suitcases, boxes, and her teenage daughter, Amy, in tow. Mom says we should take the master bedroom, Amy announced one evening, poking her head into my room. It has better closet space. You don't mind moving to the guest room, right, Laura? My childhood room, Dad's photograph still hanging on the wall, suddenly felt smaller. But this is my room, I stammered. Don't be selfish, Laura, Melissa cut in smoothly. I'm here to help manage things. The least we can do is make ourselves comfortable. When my boyfriend James visited that weekend, he noticed the change immediately. Babe, why are all your things in boxes? Aunt Melissa thinks it's better this way, I said, avoiding his gaze. She knows how to run a household. This is your house, he reminded me. Your dad wouldn't want. Please, James, I interrupted. I can't fight right now. I'm so tired. Sarah, our neighbor, dropped by with casseroles and a worried look. Honey, I've been watching your aunt take over. Your daddy would be worried sick. But I couldn't confront Melissa. She was Dad's only sister, and I kept hearing his voice in my head. Family sticks together. Glob. Dad's lawyer, Marcus, called twice, but Aunt Melissa always answered. Laura's resting. The poor thing is so overwhelmed, she'd say before hanging up. Of course, she never passed on the messages. The house began to change. My family photos were replaced by Melissa's modern art. Amy's friends lounged by the pool while I ran myself ragged trying to keep up with Melissa's endless demands. The windows need washing again, Laura, she'd say. Oh, and don't forget to prepare dinner for 8. Amy's having friends over. When are you going to fix that dripping faucet in my bathroom? Amy would complain, scrolling through her phone as I folded her laundry. One night, I found myself scrubbing the kitchen floor at midnight because Melissa said it wasn't clean enough. Tears blurred my vision, mixing with the soapy water. I could almost hear Dad's voice in that very kitchen, teaching me how to flip pancakes. James watched helplessly as I unraveled. This isn't right, Laura, he said, his voice full of concern. Something feels very wrong about all this. I was too buried in grief and manipulation to see it clearly. At least that's what I thought, until I discovered the real agenda. It all started the morning Melissa forced me to quit my job. Over breakfast, she set her coffee cup down with a calculated air. Laura, darling, the house is falling apart. Your father would be devastated to see his pride and joy in such disarray. Don't you think it's time to focus on your responsibilities here? But I love my job, I protested. Your father left us this house to maintain, she said, her tone icy. Not for you to abandon it for some entry-level position. Besides, you seem unstable lately. Perhaps the stress is too much. Mom's right, Amy chimed in smugly. You almost burned dinner last night. Imagine if you did that during an important client presentation. That's when I began noticing things. Mail went missing or turned up already opened. My phone mysteriously reset itself, and passwords I swore I hadn't changed suddenly didn't work. Hey, what happened to my letter from Capital One? I asked one afternoon. I've taken care of all that boring paperwork for you, dear. You're welcome. Aunt Melissa's voice dripped with false sweetness. Then came Amy's weekend parties. The house overflowed with her giggling friends, leaving chaos in their wake. Laura, be a dear and clean up the pool area, Amy chirped, tossing her hair. Oh, and we're out of those cute little sandwiches you make. I'm not your maid, Amy, I snapped, unable to hold it in any longer. Mom, Amy shouted, her face twisting in mock outrage. Laura's having another one of her episodes. James came over during one of these parties. His face darkened when he saw me on my hands and knees, scrubbing spilled drinks off the patio. This has gone too far, he said, pulling me to my feet. Why is your phone disconnected? Aunt Melissa said the bill was too high. She's managing the accounts now. Managing or stealing? His voice was sharp. Have you checked your bank balance lately? That night, I tried logging into my account. Access denied. I called the bank the next morning and learned my address had been changed, new cards issued without my knowledge. The rumors began swirling. Cousin Rachel called me, concern dripping from her voice. Laura, is it true you had a breakdown at work? Aunt Melissa says you're not well. What? No, that's not true. She says you've been talking to yourself and imagining things. We're all so worried. I hung up, my hands shaking. My prescription anxiety medication had been doubled without my approval. Melissa must have called my doctor, spinning tales about my deteriorating mental health. Things reached a breaking point when I went to buy groceries. I'm sorry, miss. Your card's been declined, the cashier said apologetically. Before I could react, Melissa's saccharine voice chimed in from behind me. Oh dear, another episode, she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Here, let me pay. We really must discuss your spending habits, Laura. That night, I overheard her on the phone. Yes, poor thing's completely lost it since Robert died. Thank goodness I'm here to manage everything. No visitors right now. She's too fragile. Of course, I'll handle all the paperwork. I sat in my tiny guest room, once my childhood sanctuary, now a prison cell, and stared at my reflection in the mirror. Something inside me snapped. Dad's voice echoed in my mind. Always trust your gut, glow bear. It was time to find out what they were really up to. The next morning, Sarah from next door caught me at the mailbox. Her eyes darted nervously. Laura, honey, I installed security cameras after those break-ins last month. You need to see something. The footage showed Aunt Melissa sneaking into my room at 2 a.m., rummaging through my drawers, photographing documents. That's sneaky. I bit my tongue, forcing myself to stay calm. Careful, Laura, Sarah whispered. Stay quiet for now. James was waiting in my kitchen later that day, and he wasn't alone. Marcus, Dad's lawyer, stood beside him, his expression grim. I've been trying to reach you for months, Laura, he said. Your father's will, the house, everything, it's all yours. Only yours. What? My voice shook, but Aunt Melissa said, she has no legal right to be here. The documents she's been showing people, poorly forged. Look at this signature date. Your father was in the hospital that day. My hands trembled as I examined bank statements James had gathered. Melissa had been systematically draining my accounts, setting up transfers, redirecting my inheritance. A sudden crash from Sarah's window made us jump. Amy stood frozen, her phone in hand. I was just recording us, she stammered. Like Mom taught me. Her face crumbled under the weight of her guilt. You don't understand, she whispered. Mom said we deserve this house. She said Uncle Robert promised it to her. She's going to have you committed. She's got doctor statements, fake prescriptions. Amy, I interrupted gently. Your mom is using me. And you. Tears welled up in her eyes. I know, the trust fund she promised me, it's gone. She gambled it away years ago. That's why we really came here. James squeezed my hand. We've got enough to stop her. No, I said, surprising everyone. Not yet. Over the next 2 weeks, we quietly gathered evidence. Sarah's cameras caught Melissa shredding documents and making late-night calls. James installed hidden audio recorders. Amy, racked with guilt, started slipping us information. Mom's meeting with a shady lawyer tomorrow, she whispered one night. Something about property transfers. I smiled vacantly, the way they expected me to. But in my pocket was a recording of Melissa's latest scheme, and in my heart, the certainty that Dad's legacy wouldn't be stolen. The grand finale came at our annual family reunion, held at Dad's house. Timing, everyone. Please sit. I have an announcement. Aunt Melissa stood at the head of the room, champagne flute in hand, her voice dripping with feigned authority. This concerns Laura's future care. Actually, I interrupted, standing tall, my voice steady and strong. I have something to share first. The room fell silent. Marcus emerged from the study, carrying a stack of files. Sarah stepped forward and pressed play on the TV remote. The security footage began rolling. Melissa sneaking into my room, rummaging through drawers, and photographing documents. Every forged letter, every late-night theft, every manipulative phone call was displayed for the entire family to see. That's not. Those videos are fake, Melissa sputtered, her face pale. Fake, like these bank statements. I held them up. Or Dad's forged signature. Or maybe the doctor's letters you fabricated. Amy burst into tears. Mom, you promised we wouldn't get caught. The room erupted into chaos. Aunt Rachel dropped her wine glass, shards scattering across the floor. Uncle Pete pulled out his phone, dialing his lawyer. "You ungrateful little." Melissa lunged toward me, but James stepped between us, his expression unwavering. "The police have copies of everything," I said calmly, "and the bank's fraud department is very interested in your creative accounting." Within hours, Melissa's carefully constructed world collapsed. The police arrived with warrants, uncovering not just her schemes against me, but a trail of similar scams spanning years. At the hearing, Marcus presented a damning case. "Your Honor," he began, "my client's aunt attempted to steal her inheritance through systematic fraud and psychological manipulation. The defendant mortgaged her own home to cover gambling debts and used her niece as a pawn to sustain her schemes." Melissa's social standing crumbled as her secrets came to light. Amy, overwhelmed by guilt, approached me after the sentencing. "Laura, I'm so sorry," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't know about the gambling. I didn't realize how far Mom would go." I met her gaze, my voice calm but firm. "Actions have consequences, Amy. Your college fund was just another casualty of your mom's choices." With Melissa gone, I began rebuilding my life. I returned to work, earned the promotion I'd been striving for, and threw myself into restoring Dad's house. Every trace of Melissa's presence was erased, her modern art replaced with Dad's photos, his laughter and legacy reclaiming the space. Sarah helped me plant a new rose garden in the backyard. "Your father would be so proud of you, Laura," she said one evening, her voice full of warmth. One evening in that same garden, James knelt before me. The twilight painted the sky in hues of pink and gold, and his voice trembled slightly as he spoke. "Laura, these past months have shown me your strength, your resilience, and your heart. I can't imagine life without you. Marry me." The ring sparkled, a symbol of a brighter future, so different from the darkness we had overcome. What would you do if someone close to you was gaslighting and manipulating you while stealing your inheritance? Would you confront them immediately or quietly gather evidence like I did? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm especially curious to hear from those who've dealt with toxic family members. How did you handle it? If you want to hear more stories about standing up to manipulative relatives and reclaiming control of your life, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Together, we can help others recognize the signs of financial and emotional abuse before it's too late. Remember, sometimes the most dangerous wolves come dressed as family sheep. Stay strong, stay vigilant, and never let anyone make you doubt your worth.